Hello and welcome everyone, this is Type V3 and I'm back with round 2 of the 90s Nostalgia Factor with the Ultra Act Gridman. Or, if like myself you were a fan of a young Matthew Lawrence before he found his way into Boy Meets World, then you'll recognize this guy as Servo from Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. So, get ready and let's Samuraize, guys! If you've ever handled a figure, specifically Kamen Rider, from Ultra Act's sister toy line SH Figuarts, then you'll know what to expect here. Most of Servo's look was taken from the anime stylings rather than the on-screen suit actor. The result is a taller and thinner looking hero. I've always admired this design approach, but I can understand if you'd prefer a more realistic body. Another neat change are his yellow shin pads which have been molded in, as opposed to the sewn-in patch on the actor's suit. The compound yellow eyes are gorgeous, as is the clear blue plastic on his torso. They both manage to pick up light from about every angle and really pop. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for the yellow core in his chest. It's just set in too far for any light to catch it. When it comes to paint, every aspect was finished solidly. I especially love that Bandai opted to give the white sections a slightly pearlescent topcoat. It really gives you a sense that this is a premium figure. On the other hand, I question the choice for metallic yellow used instead of gold for his forehead, but it's not the biggest of issues here. Like many human-based posable figures, it can be hard for the sculpt to remain cohesive while containing all the joints. However, because Servo is mostly comprised of armor, almost nothing looks odd or out of place. My only point of contention would be his hips or crotch area. There is some black shading used to mask this break in the sculpt, but because the joint underneath is such a vivid red, I find the contrast to be that much more noticeable. As mentioned before, this guy is very related to SH Figuarts, so Articulation is very familiar to those figures as well. I mean, you got double-jointed elbows and knees, you got the armor pads that come up, ball joints at the base of the neck and top of the neck, you know, all those fun things, even the trademark pull-down hips so you can extend his feet out further from the Figuarts line. And on paper, this all sounds great, but in practice, it's actually very different. He's a lot more limited than a Figuarts toy I found. The ankles, for instance, barely have a hinge to go back and forth. That toe joint is almost unusable because you can't really go that far. The double jointed elbows are great, except for the fact that they can't really go past 90 degrees, so it almost makes you question why is there a double joint there. The waist is probably the biggest issue, because there is no waist swivel or torso swivel, it's just a crunch. So even though he can do this wicked movement like that, he can't go side to side. The base of the neck is limited by the armor around his shoulders and whatnot, so yeah, I don't know, and even his wrists, even though they can swivel, the armor kind of stops them from moving. On the bright side, he has a gauntlet swivel that's nice, and the thigh swivel is also hidden well there, but I don't know, it's just not quite as awesome as a Figuarts toy, and that's kind of a real bummer for me. That's not to say Articulation is bad, it's just a notch below Bandai's sister toy line. The hands supplied with Servo are fists, open palms, and two different pairs of holding things hands. But along with these hands comes the absolute worst aspect of the entire release, the scary hand swaps. Not only is the connection extremely tight, but the ball joints are small and are attached by a half peg, which makes them incredibly fragile. I recommend pulling the hands out straight with no twisting to avoid any breakage. Scary issues aside, what can he hold with these new hands? Well, the larger grip holds his shield, while the smaller one is used for the sword. Paint on both these accessories turned out great. I love the chrome used for the sword, and was surprised that the back of the shield was painted too. There's even a hinge on the shield for extra help with the posing. The next accessory is the shield and sword combination. It looks marvelous and was always my favorite weapon in Servo's arsenal. As for those wondering, it uses the larger grip hands, and the plastic blade is very durable. Lastly is the grid beam blast effect part. Getting this equipped is a little tricky. There's a little notch you have to remove from Servo's wrist, which can easily be lost. Once it's out, you just plug in the effect part and you're done. This is seriously one of those accessories that many will consider buying this figure for. It's just that awesome. Now, while that may be all there is in the included accessories, Servo does have a peg hole in his back in the event you wanted to display him with a stand. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the Tamashi stages to show this feature off, but I'm sure you get the point. When it comes down to it, Ultra Act Gridman, or Servo, is the best figure interpretation of the character there is yet. The sculpt and detail are fantastic, articulation is great, and he comes with an impressive amount of accessories. The poor design oversight with the hand swap is a shame, but I don't think the issue is large enough to deter anyone with a passing interest in Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. I also kind of wish there was an effect part to replicate when he charges up his grid power, but that's just me being picky now. What's more appealing is that he's also fairly well priced and is available through vendors such as Amazon or even local comic book shops. While other tokusatsu figures that are certainly better can be found in the SH Figuarts line, none of them mean more to me than this one. In fact, for as much as I love the Power Rangers as a whole, there wasn't a single character from that series I loved more than Servo, Evil Green Ranger included. Anyways, this has been Type V3. Thanks for watching, and we're not quite done with Gridman yet. You see, he was more than just your standard hero in a jumpsuit, because what he had were some major upgrades, and hopefully it won't be too long before we see Servo synced up and bringing the thunder.